Good morning, fellow Apterians. This is Bruce from Iowa Aptera, and
Well, here we are with another evaluation of what I think might be guff. I'll let you be the judge of that. This is the Aussie Ideas Man, and I'm going to see if there isn't some porkies being delivered by my good friend N. Bruce Nelson, or as I call him, Bruce Baby.
but what I'd like to talk to you about now is a little bit of the history and the confusion over the start of Aptera. I see many comments in discussion forums that are quite confused. Steve Fambro, who got the original idea for an inexpensive and efficient commuter car, had a rather long commute to his job where he was designing DNA synthesis robots, and had a lot of time to think while he was commuting, and he came up with the idea of designing an efficient car. In a bit of the research that he did to look at what needed to be done, he discovered a 1982 body design by the Italian A. Morelli, and in fact, over the years, there have been a number of vehicles that have been built using that general body shape. And he first put it into use with Aptera Incorporated, a company that he founded with Chris Anthony in 2005. The company was incorporated along with Idea Lab as a partner. Founders by 2009 had built several prototypes and felt that they were ready to start production. And Idea Lab felt that they should get somebody from Detroit with production experience to be CEO. And that person was unfortunately, his name was Paul Wilbur, and unfortunately it seemed that he was never really on board with building such a strange vehicle. And as a result, he managed to maneuver a board vote to remove the two founders.
This is my first point of disagreement. I don't think they were removed by the board. I'll leave this part here for some discussion. So I thought I'd just put together what I think is the founders being honest with the truth. I think if you're going to have a company, you need to be very honest with the public, and you need to make sure that just the smallest details are true and that they're not stretching the truth. And I believe I can show a few examples where the truth has been stretched way too far.
What happened there? Did funding run out? What was the problem?
Yeah, it was a great time for electric vehicles back then, but as the economy came down in 2009, it was difficult to raise money, and we were looking for a Department of Energy loan that didn't happen, so we had to let a lot of great people go.
Chris says they have to let a lot of people go in what seems like 2009. The company folded in 2011, as the slide shows. His co-founder, Steve, says that they left for personal reasons. He didn't say that he'd let anybody go. So if they left in 2009 and it folded in 2011, all the rest of the staff were there.
We hired a professional management team from Detroit. And about a year after that, Chris and I left the company just because we had a difference of direction that we wanted to take. About a year after that, Chris and I left the company just because we had a difference of direction that we wanted to take. I found this article that says clearly that they were shafted, but there are conflicting articles. To this day, the Aptera ambassadors, in the comments on most of the Aptera videos, they maintained that they were sacked.
In 2009, and tried to introduce plans for a different four-wheel vehicle. He was unsuccessful at raising money for his new plans, And in seeing that he wasn't going to be able to get there, he actually liquidated the company in 2011. So the first Aptera never went bankrupt.
This is a second pause, open for discussion.
They went through the word orderly is the word I'm looking for, an orderly liquidation, and sold off the assets at auction. In the process, they paid back all of the pre-orders that had been put in for the original vehicle. They also paid off their vendors, and the people who lost money were the investors who approved of that liquidation plan in the first place. So nothing was done without the consultation of the various members of the company.
I'll beg to differ on that point too. Here's another pause to discuss if people agreed to lose their money.
Except, of course, Steve and Chris losing control over their dream was kind of a blow. Steve went into hydroponic technology, and Chris, among other things, started as co-founder and CEO, started a lithium battery company and took it public.
Another pause for discussion about the other things Chris was involved in. Just a question of how good were they? And is Bruce Baby just snowing over the bad and telling you the good?
They're actually doing quite well at the moment. They've become a major customer. One of their major customers is Delta Airlines, and they're rated a strong buy by every Wall Street analyst who's following them. In 2019, the widow of the man who had purchased the IP rights to the original Aptera Incorporated approached Chris and offered him a chance to buy those IP rights, and he decided to take that. He was able to regather Steve back from the Middle East and other key people, including their designers and some others, and restart a brand new company called Aptera Corporation. Now, this is legally a completely different company, and they began with some of the same motivations as the original company, but
I'll pause here also because we need to decide if this really is a different company or a second iteration of the same company, but with just a different title tacked onto the back of their name.
That is Steve Fambro and Chris Anthony, who together co-founded Aptera Motors way back, more than a decade ago. And then Aptera disappeared for a bit, and we'll discover why in today's chat. But now Aptera is back. It's better than ever before. Welcome to the show, both of you. Steve, it's been a really long time since we last chatted.
About 10 years. I think we talked about the founding of Aptera and also the demise.
And now things are back, Chris. This is... does it feel good to be back at Aptera?
It does. It's an exciting time. When we started Aptera last time, there were so many things that just didn't exist. It was all an uphill battle. And now that we're coming back with a refresh on Aptera, it's a much different climate, and it's a lot easier to access the supply chain and vendors. And it's just exciting to think about, the thousands of people that now have pre-orders on Aptera, getting those vehicles out on the streets, in the next couple of years.
Steve, you started Aptera, and so Aptera was born. Tell us about the original Aptera, and then we'll maybe talk about the new reincarnation of the vehicle. What's different, what's the same?
Well, there's a creative phase that people can enter before they have children. And that was my creative phase.
Yeah, when I met Steve, I was starting a boat company called Epic Boats. And then I met Steve through a mutual friend down here, and he showed me this idea for this aerodynamic dream machine. Holy cripes, man, you could have a really, really compelling offering. So, we hugged it out and started the company, and then, the rest is history.
The original Aptera was designed with a couple of different options. I think your first version was a hybrid, and you were planning on having a hybrid version and then having an electric version. Your initial kind of reveal, I think, was 2007, 2008. I remember seeing you on the cover of, I think it was Wired magazine. And then you competed in the X Prize, the Automotive X Prize. Now, at the time, what was the figure that you were achieving with the original Aptera?
98 miles, 98 mpg.
Yeah, I mean, even back in the early days, the very first iteration that we put on the ground was a single-cylinder diesel motor. And that was just trying to prove the efficacy of a super aerodynamic lightweight vehicle. And we took it out to the desert and got 430 miles per gallon.
330.
And
300. 400. Honestly, I can't remember. But it did its job. It proved the science. It proved that it worked. It let us get to the next step.
Well, we fast forward. Obviously, we've got the all electric version now. We had the all electric version then. In terms of where you are now and where you were, a lot of people are confused about what happened with the original Aptera. What actually happened, and got to a point where you both left Aptera, but now you're back and you rebuilt the company from scratch.
Yeah, we had some amazing people working at Aptera a decade ago. We innovated in so many areas and built an amazing vehicle platform that did things like, having the highest roof crush strength of any passenger vehicle on the road, along with super efficiency. The economy kind of crashing in 2009 was a very difficult time. And the DOE loan program getting heavily altered after the Solyndra bankruptcy, really had an impactful, result on Aptera. But, sometimes people, even in the best of businesses, the best of time, the best of sports teams, they don't agree with the direction. And they can still be great players and they're, your star players, but, they think that they need to just pass the ball to somebody else. And we had a fundamental disagreement with, some of the rest of the leadership team. So we moved on and, I started Flux Power making lithium batteries and he built the largest advanced hydroponics farm in the world. So we gathered some great experience since we left Aptera and now we're back and stronger than ever. And I think we wish everybody that's ever been involved with Aptera the best.
Now you actually, the original company after you left declared bankruptcy. The assets were purchased by a Chinese company. Is that how you ended up back where you are now? You were able to purchase those assets back?
They actually liquidated, which is a fine distinction, but an important one. They paid all their bills. They paid all the employees. Nobody was left hanging. They refunded all the deposits. So it was a very clean and orderly shutdown. And, I think the leadership team there did very, very well too. We would have hated to, have strung out any of our vendors or anything like that. And it was just like, it's time to get back together and make this happen.
Yeah, we do have a list of lessons learned, a list of things that we have done different, that we've even done different with Aptera now, that are learned from that past experience. And I prefer to look at it as maybe it was a training ground for today. Like it was meant for us to go through that then so that we would be ready today when the market is actually here, when the demand is here, when the batteries are at the state that they're in, when the solar cells are at the state that they're in. We will have a much bigger impact today than we would have had 10 years ago, I think.
It's part of the company's story.
A completely new design, even though there is a nod to the Morelli shape, the size of the vehicle, the drivetrain of the vehicle, there's not a single part in the current Aptera design as there was from the product that was being built or intended to be built by the original company.
I'll pause here as well because I'd like to add one reason why there's not a single part is because they crushed every other prototype that wasn't worth auctioning off.
So Aptera Corporation is a completely new and different company from that original company that was dissolved in 2011. So when Aptera Corporation got started in 2019, they were thinking that the total market size might be about roughly double that Tesla had when they got started with their Roadster, and perhaps 4,000 units or so. But when they opened pre-orders in 2020, they were completely shocked at the rate that the pre-orders came in. I think the first couple days they had over 3,000, and it became clear rather quickly by the time they got 40,000 pre-orders that the original plan to use vacuum resin infusion for the body production was just not going to be adequate. And they were agile enough to, with the help of Sandy Monroe, look for an alternative production method.
I'll stop here. There's a lot to say about this that isn't quite like what he's trying to convince us of.
In fact, when Akos and Pablo first went there, they were so amazed at what they saw, and CPC wouldn't let them take pictures, that they insisted that we come there and see it ourselves. So we were on a plane the next day.
Yep.
And they were able to come to an agreement with China Petroleum not China Petroleum, with CPC. That's an old company I used to work with CPC in Italy, which is now owned by Mitsubishi Chemical. And they're going to be making, already are making body parts, and they're already making validated parts for the production intent builds. One result of this is that the original planned introduction of the vehicles has been delayed for a while, but the number of vehicles they're going to be able to build and the precision and strength of the parts is going to be far better than what it was originally planned to be. My wife and I were able to ride in a prototype back in November of 2021, which was built using vacuum resin infusion. And it had a lot of similarities with a kit car that I used to own. The new Apteras that are going into production are going to be much closer in fit and finish to a supercar than the old kit car. And so even though we have a delay, the performance and the precision and the quality of the cars that they're actually going to be producing is taking a huge improvement. So I'm really excited about what this new Aptera Corporation is producing, and I look forward to new developments that are coming in this new year, and we'll be glad to share with you about those as they occur. So see you soon. Bye-bye.
There's enough here for me to take a whole day making a video on why there's possibilities that this isn't the truth about the history of Aptera. I hope I can do it some justice, but I do get a bit lazy just trying to put together evidence for you. But at least I'll have evidence. The first thing you'll notice is that he just spoke with not a shred of evidence. He just goes, look at my old man face, you can trust this, and say, just believe me. He has done that for 2 years in the comments. He has never proven a thing. He's hidden behind self-inflicted non-disclosure agreements, and he just won't answer questions. There's a plethora of conversations going on in comments over dozens and dozens of videos where you will prove to yourself that this is what he does. So it is about time that I put some balance into the nonsense that we just keep getting fed. And if he's going to feed us it, he can defend his position. But I just think he'll just go away, and in other places he'll just pop up and say the same things because that's what he does. Well, I hope I can tell the truth. Whatever I do, however bad it might be, I will guarantee that I tell you the truth and am fair about what I present. And I will give you at least a little bit of evidence that I've collected along the way. Then you can do your own research after that and make up your own minds. That's all from me. Bye for now. Have a happy new year and stay safe.